For 30 years, he protected the streets, fought crime, and served his community. But that evening, when he simply went to a restaurant for dinner, the waitstaff saw him as one of those criminals and called the police. When he pulled out his badge before leaving, everyone's face turned white. Welcome to Stories of Black Lives. Before we dive into these powerful stories of respect, justice, and hope, please let us know in the comments which country and city you're watching from today. If you want to see more stories like this, hit that subscribe button. And please don't forget to like this video. This is the story of a real incident that took place in one of Detroit's quietest neighborhoods. The painful yet powerful story of how retired police officer Marcus Thompson became alienated in the very community he served. Marcus Thompson was a 52-year-old man with a large build and calm eyes. His gray hair was neatly combed, he dressed cleanly and had polite manners. He had served 30 years with the Detroit Police Department, worked in various units, and spent his last decade in community policing. His job was to build good relationships with neighborhood residents, organize sports programs with young people, and listen to the problems of the elderly. Even after retirement, he didn't leave the same neighborhood and began living a quiet life in his small house. That Tuesday evening, Marcus was watching television at home when he felt like eating out. There wasn't much in the refrigerator, and he thought about going out to eat somewhere. He had heard about Giovanni's Italian Kitchen, a newly opened restaurant in the neighborhood. A few neighbors had spoken highly of it. He decided to go there. Around 7:30 p.m., he went out in his casual clothes, dark jeans, a plain black t-shirt, and sneakers. The weather was nice, worth walking. The restaurant was only 3 blocks away. As he walked, he noticed the changes he saw in the neighborhood. New faces, new shops, new cars. The neighborhood was going through a gentrification process, and this situation both gave Marcus hope and worried him. When he arrived at Giovanni's, the restaurant was quite crowded. Looking inside through the glass windows, he saw a beautifully decorated, modern venue. He opened the door and went inside. As soon as he entered, hostess Amy's eyes met his. Amy was a young woman in her 20s, blonde and young. As soon as she saw Marcus, signs of discomfort appeared on her face. "Good evening," Marcus said politely. "I's a table for one possible." Amy hesitated for a while. "Well, do you have a reservation?" "No, but I see empty tables." "Could you wait a moment?" Amy's voice was tense. She turned around and went to Jake, the waiter working in the bar area. Jake was 28 years old, tall and athletically built. Amy whispered something to him and both looked toward Marcus. Jake nodded and said something to Amy. Meanwhile, Marcus was examining his surroundings while waiting. The customers were mostly young and middle-aged white couples. There were a few families. Everyone seemed to be having a good time. But Marcus began to notice that with his arrival, he was receiving strange looks from some tables. Amy returned. "Unfortunately, we're very busy tonight. Maybe another evening." Marcus looked around. He could count at least 5 empty tables. "But there are empty tables over there. Those are reserved," Amy said quickly. Marcus's 30 years of police experience had taught him to read people. He understood that Amy was lying, but he decided to stay calm. "Well, how long would I have to wait to get a table?" Amy looked at Jake again. Jake came and intervened. "Sir, we're really very busy tonight. Maybe tomorrow." At that moment, a middle-aged white couple entered right behind Marcus. Amy immediately turned to them. "Good evening. How many people?" "2," the man said. "Of course, let's arrange that right away." Amy smiled and took them inside, seating them at a nice corner table. When Marcus witnessed this situation, he really understood what was happening, but he continued to stay calm. "I think there's a misunderstanding," he said quietly. "I just want to eat." Other waiters also got involved when they heard this conversation. Maria, a waitress in her 30s with experience, approached Jake. "What's the problem?" Jake pointed Marcus out to Maria. "This gentleman wants a table, but I just want to eat." Marcus said again. "I've lived in this neighborhood for 30 years. Maria looked at Marcus. She saw that he was cleanly dressed and polite, but her prejudices prevailed. "Sir, could we see your card?" "My card? Which card?" "Your credit card." "For security." Marcus was surprised. "Do I show a credit card before ordering food? What kind of rule is this?" During this conversation, customers in the restaurant began to notice the situation. Some were uncomfortable. Some were watching with curiosity. At this point, restaurant manager Paul Bradley entered the scene. Paul was a man in his 40s, pot-bellied and conceited. After learning about the situation from Jake, he approached Marcus. "Sir, I think there's a misunderstanding," Paul said, but his tone wasn't sincere at all. "We usually work with reservations at this type of establishment." "What type of establishment?" Marcus asked. "You know, a more sophisticated, upscale place." Marcus's patience was beginning to run out. For 30 years, when he encountered such situations, he had always remained calm. He had learned this as a police officer. But now he was retired and no longer wore a uniform. And this situation was causing him to be treated with such open discrimination. "I've lived in this neighborhood for 30 years, Marcus said in a calm but stern tone. "I was here before this restaurant opened. I just want dinner." Paul looked around. Customers were now openly watching the situation. "Sir, please don't raise your voice. You're disturbing our other customers." "I'm not raising my voice. I'm just trying to understand why I can't sit down." At this time, Harold and Betty Evans, an elderly couple sitting at a corner table, were watching the situation. Harold was a retired teacher and had lived in this neighborhood for many years. He recognized Marcus and had even listened to Marcus speak at neighborhood meetings a few times. "That man looks familiar," Harold said to his wife. "Isn't that Marcus Thompson, the retired police officer?" "Are you sure?" Betty asked. "I'm quite sure. He's a very respectful, decent man." Meanwhile, tension continued to escalate in the restaurant. Paul began gathering his staff. Jake, Amy, and Maria came together. "I need to control the situation," Paul said. "Jakey, there's a security camera in the back room. Let's record the situation." "Amy, maybe we should call the police." "The police?" Amy said in surprise. "This man could potentially cause trouble. Our customers' safety is our priority." Marcus could see them whispering, but couldn't hear what they were talking about. But his experienced eyes told him the situation was getting worse. At this point, Amy called 911 from the bar area following Paul's directive. 911. Emergency lines. "Hello, I'm calling from Giovanni's Italian Kitchen. There's a person exhibiting suspicious behavior in our restaurant. Our customers are uncomfortable." "What is the suspicious person doing?" "H. He's just here wanting food, but has no reservation and is very insistent. Our customers are anxious." "Is he threatening? Does he have a weapon?" "No, but his appearance is disturbing." Marcus couldn't hear this phone conversation completely, but understood that something was going wrong. Paul came back. "Sir, I'm asking you, please leave our restaurant." "Why?" "I just want food." "Because you're not wanted here." This statement was said clearly enough for everyone in the restaurant to hear. Customers were now openly watching. Some were uncomfortable. Some had noticed the strangeness of the situation. Harold Evans got up from his table. "Wait a minute," he said, addressing Paul. "This man is Marcus Thompson, retired police officer. He lives in this neighborhood and is a very respectful person." Paul looked at Harold. "Who are you?" "I'm one of the old residents of this neighborhood. And I know this man. He's not dangerous. Then why is he causing so much trouble?" Harold fixed his gaze on Paul. "He's not the one causing trouble. You are. This man just wants food, and you're trying to throw him out." During this conversation, 2 police officers came to the restaurant. Officer Rodriguez and Officer Johnson were both young and experienced police officers. When they entered, they tried to understand the situation. "Who complained?" Rodriguez asked. Paul stepped forward. "I did. This person is disturbing our customers and refusing to leave." Rodriguez looked at Marcus. Marcus was standing calmly, his hands visibly at his sides, with no threatening movements. "Sir, what's your name?" Rodriguez asked Marcus. Marcus Thompson, what are you doing here? I came to eat. Rodriguez turned to Paul. What exactly did this man do? Well, he wanted a table, but had no reservation and we were very busy. Johnson looked around. I see several empty tables. Those are reserved. Johnson was an experienced police officer. He understood the situation was strange. He turned back to Marcus. Sir, do you have identification? Marcus took out his wallet from his pocket and handed over his driver's license. Rodriguez examined the ID. Marcus Thompson. This address is close to here. Yes, I live 3 blocks away. What's your profession? Retired police officer. Rodriguez was surprised. Hey, was police. I served 30 years with Detroit PD. Johnson looked at Rodriguez. Both understood how absurd the situation was. They had received a complaint call about a retired colleague. Which unit did you serve in? Johnson asked. I spent my last 10 years in the community policing unit. 5th Precinct. Rodriguez's face lit up. 5th Precinct. I worked there too. Are you Officer Thompson? Marcus Thompson. Yes! Oh my God! I've heard a lot about you. Are you the Thompson who served in those gang operations? Yes, that's me. Johnson also understood the situation. Sir, are you really police? Marcus smiled. Retired, but yes. The restaurant staff and customers who heard this conversation were shocked. Amy's mouth was left open. Jake had backed away. Paul's face had turned white. Rodriguez turned to Paul. Did you file a complaint about a retired police officer? I didn't know. What didn't you know? The man just wanted food. Harold Evans intervened. Officers, I also witnessed this situation. This man simply asked for a table and in no way behaved threateningly. However, the staff behaved very prejudiced toward him. Johnson looked around. Is this true? Did you complain just because he wanted food? Paul began to stammer. The situation. I misunderstood, I guess. Marcus spoke at this point. Officers, I just wanted dinner. But apparently I'm not wanted here. No problem. I'll go somewhere else. Rodriguez said, No, sir, you did nothing wrong. This is a public restaurant. Marcus took something out of his pocket. From his old, worn leather wallet, he pulled out his retired police badge. The badge bore the marks of 30 years of service. I carried this badge proudly for 30 years. Marcus said, I served in this neighborhood on these streets. I protected people, watched over families, watched children grow up. The restaurant fell into deep silence. Everyone was listening to Marcus. But today, after retiring and taking off my uniform, the same community sees me as a threat. Marcus's voice was calm but full. This saddens me, but it doesn't surprise me. Paul stepped forward, his hand trembling. Mr. Marcus, I'm very sorry. I didn't know. What didn't you know? Marcus asked. That I was a police officer. Well, what if I wasn't a police officer? Would your behavior have been normal then? Paul had no words to answer. Rodriguez turned to Paul. This situation is very serious. This could be discrimination. I didn't discriminate. Then why did you require a reservation for this man but not for the couple who came after him? Paul couldn't answer. At this point, other customers also began to intervene in the incident. A young couple, Sarah and Mike Davis, got up from their table. This is unacceptable, Sarah said. We also witnessed this situation. This man did nothing wrong. The elderly couple Harold and Betty also stood up. This man is Marcus Thompson, Betty said. Everyone in this neighborhood knows and respects him. Another table also stood up. If this restaurant treats people this way, we're leaving too. Paul was panicking. Customers were starting to leave. Please, this is a misunderstanding, he pleaded. Marcus raised his hand. Please, don't anyone take action because of me. I just got what I wanted. What did you get? The young woman Sarah asked. The truth, Marcus said. The truth of how this society really looks at me. Rodriguez turned to Marcus. Sir, if you want to file a complaint. No, Marcus said. I won't file a complaint. But I will say something. Marcus spoke as if addressing everyone in the restaurant. For 30 years I wore this uniform with pride. I went out to dangerous streets in the middle of the night. Places where guns were drawn, drug operations, domestic violence cases. I served in all of them. Why? To protect this community. But when I take off the uniform, the same community sees me as a danger. This isn't just my problem. This is all of our problem. Amy stepped forward, tears in her eyes. I'm very sorry. You're young, Marcus said kindly. You have a lot to learn. But learn this, don't judge people by their appearance. Because the man under that uniform and the man under these civilian clothes are the same person. Jake also stepped forward. Sir, I'm also sorry. We did very wrong. Apologizing isn't enough, Marcus said. You need to change. When you encounter such a situation again, stop and think. That person is also human. They probably just want to eat too. Harold Evans started applauding. Other customers joined in. Marcus stopped the applause. No need for applause. Just need understanding. Rodriguez turned to Paul. Sir, this incident will be reported, and my advice to you is to train your staff. Paul nodded. Of course. We'll start tomorrow. Marcus headed toward the door. Johnson caught up with him. Sir, wouldn't you like to come eat with us? We know a nice place. Marcus smiled. Thank you, but I prefer home cooking. At least let us drive you home. No need, I'll walk. It's only 3 blocks. Rodriguez shook hands with Marcus. Sir, it's an honor to meet you. And again, I'm very sorry for this incident. Don't you apologize. You did your job. Right, fair. That's important. As Marcus walked toward the door, Sarah and Mike came up to him. Sir, we want to start a petition against this kind of discrimination. Good idea, Marcus said. But remember, real change doesn't start with laws. It starts in hearts. Harold and Betty also came up to him. Marcus, you're a real gentleman, Harold said. Thank you, Harold. You're a good person too. Thanks for intervening. When Marcus reached the door, he turned around one last time. Paul was standing there, completely ashamed. Paul, Marcus said, you're not a bad person. You just have wrong thoughts. You can change. Everyone can change. Paul nodded, unable to find words to speak. Marcus went outside. The night air was nice. He started walking. His phone rang. It was his old colleague, Jim. Marcus, I saw a video on social media. Is that you at the restaurant? Yes, Jim, it's me. Man, I'm amazed at how calm you stayed. If it were me, I would have gone crazy. Jim, getting angry doesn't help. Sometimes being patient gives a stronger message. You're right. By the way, that restaurant is getting a lot of criticism right now. People are planning to boycott. I hope they learn, Jim. Not boycott, education is needed. When he got home, Marcus felt tired. But at the same time, he felt like he had accomplished something. Maybe a few people had learned something today. The next day, Paul called Marcus to apologize and invited him to eat at the restaurant. Marcus accepted the invitation. This time, he was seated at the nicest table, and all staff treated him with respect. But Marcus knew this wasn't the real victory. The real victory was society facing its prejudices, and this would happen one by one, heart by heart. The next morning, Marcus woke up early. While drinking his coffee, his phone was ringing constantly. Former colleagues, neighbors, even people he'd never met were calling. The restaurant incident video had gone viral on social media. Someone had secretly filmed and shared it. Marcus, bro, all of Detroit is talking about you, said his former partner, Detective Williams. This video has been watched millions of times. You're a hero. I'm not a hero or anything, Tom, Marcus said. I just wanted to eat. But what you did was very important. That calmness, that maturity, it became an example for young police officers. Marcus looked out the window. A few reporters were waiting in front of his house. This situation bothered him. Tom, I just want peace. I understand, bro, but this story gave hope to so many people, especially to police officers like us. After hanging up the phone, Marcus heard the doorbell ring. Looking outside, he saw a young female reporter, Laura Martinez from Channel 7. Mr. Thompson, I'm Laura Martinez. We'd like to do an interview with you. This story is very important. Marcus opened the door but didn't invite her in. Ms. Martinez. I don't want to talk to the media. Just 5 minutes. People need to hear your story, especially about police-community relations. Marcus thought, maybe he should speak. Okay, but not at my house. On the bench in the park. 20 minutes later, they sat in the small park in the neighborhood. Laura had set up her camera. Mr. Thompson, could you tell us about what you experienced last night? Marcus took a deep breath. I just wanted to eat, but what I saw there showed how divided our society is. Were you angry? No. I was sad. Because the people in that restaurant aren't bad people. They're just prejudiced people. And prejudice is learned, so it can be changed too. Did you encounter such situations often during your 30-year police career? Marcus's eyes became blurry, very often. But not as a uniformed officer, as a civilian. In workplaces, in stores, even in church. People don't see you. They just see your color. How does this affect you? You get used to it over time. But this getting used to shouldn't be normal. Every person deserves to be respected regardless of their color. After the interview was broadcast, Marcus's story was also featured in national media. CNN, Fox News, NBC, everyone was talking about this story. But the real impact was in the neighborhood. His neighbors began to see Marcus differently. People who used to just say good morning now wanted to stop and chat. Marcus, said his neighbor, Mrs. Jackson, I didn't know you were a police officer. We've been neighbors for 15 years. You didn't need to know, Helen. I'm just your neighbor. But now I understand why you're always so calm. Why you never fight with anyone. These conversations made Marcus think. People didn't really know him. Only very few people knew who he was, what he had experienced. That weekend, Marcus decided to do something. He organized a meeting at the neighborhood center. A chat titled, Community and Police. On the day of the meeting, the center was packed. Old, young, white, black, Latino, people from all walks of life had come. Marcus went to the microphone. Friends, I didn't come here to do heroic literature. I just came to share my experiences. For 30 years, I lived both as a police officer and as a black citizen. Understanding this duality isn't easy. One night, I was going home in my uniform. A young black man started running as soon as he saw me. When I caught him, I asked, why did you run? He said, I'm afraid of police. That night I went home and thought, what do I represent in this child's eyes? Security or threat? People in the hall were listening carefully. The next day, while walking in the same neighborhood in my civilian clothes, a white woman saw me and immediately clutched her purse tightly and increased her walking speed. That's when I understood. Without my uniform, I'm just suspicious too. A young woman named Sarah raised her hand. Mr. Thompson, how can we solve this situation? First, we need to admit there's a problem. Then we need to talk. We need to get to know each other. An elderly white man stood up. I'm Frank Wilson. I've lived in this neighborhood for 40 years. And I admit, I was prejudiced too. Frank's voice was trembling. Last year, I saw someone trying to break into my house. I immediately called the police. Turns out that person was my neighbor's son. He had forgotten his keys and was trying to get in through the window. If that kid had been white, would I have approached with the same suspicion? I don't think so. This confession created deep silence in the hall. A young black man named Dion raised his hand. I want to say something too. I was also prejudiced against police. I saw them all the same. But after meeting Mr. Marcus, I realized this was wrong. Marcus nodded. Dion, you're right too. I was also generalizing. All civilians are the same, all criminals are the same. But they're not. Everyone is an individual. The meeting lasted 3 hours. People shared their stories, told their experiences. Some cried, some got angry, but everyone talked. After the meeting, Mrs. Jackson stood up. Marcus, we want to do something. To make this neighborhood a better place. Like what? Helen. Monthly meetings. Let's get to know each other. Let's discuss problems. Will you help us too? Marcus smiled. Of course. That night, as Marcus returned home, he felt different. Maybe that restaurant incident was a beginning. A bad beginning, but heading toward a good end. A few days later, Paul called. "Mr. Marcus, I felt I had to call you again." "What happened, Paul?" "We started giving training to our staff. Anti-discrimination seminars. And I have an offer for you. I'm listening. Would you like to speak at these seminars? Share your experiences?" Marcus thought. "Paul, I'm not an educator, but you have real experiences. That's very valuable. Okay, I'll come and speak, but I have one condition." "What is it?" "Let it be open not just to restaurant employees, but to customers too. We need to learn as a community." Perfect idea. When the seminar day came, Giovanni's was completely full. Restaurant employees, customers, neighborhood residents, everyone had come. Marcus began his speech like this. "2 weeks ago I came here to eat. I left here hungry. But now I understand that the real hunger wasn't food hunger. It was understanding hunger. I lived in this neighborhood for 30 years. I protected you, worked with you. But you didn't really know me." Amy, the waitress who was on duty that night, raised her hand with tears. "Mr. Marcus, I did very wrong that night. I couldn't see you as human. Amy, you're young. What's important is that you learn, and you learned." Jake also spoke. "I'm very sorry too. But now I understand that I need to approach every customer with the same respect." Marcus nodded. "You're not bad people. You just had incomplete knowledge. Now you're filling that gap." At the end of the seminar, Paul stood up. "Mr. Marcus, I want to give you something." Paul took out a photo from the restaurant. "This is our restaurant's opening day photo, but we want to put your photo here too, as a change photo. It's not necessary, Paul. Please accept it. I want our employees and customers to see it every day. Let this photo remind them that every person has a story." Marcus accepted the photo. But more importantly, he had accepted the change in their hearts. That night, returning home, Marcus thought about the past 2 weeks. How had a simple dinner caused such a big change? His phone rang. It was Detective Williams. "Marcus, I want to congratulate you." "For what?" "The police department has an offer for you. Do you want to return as a community policing consultant?" Marcus was surprised. "I'm retired. Part-time. You train young police officers about community relations." Marcus thought, "This is an important responsibility, and you're the right person for it. After this incident, everyone wants to learn your approach." "Okay, Tom. I accept." A few months later, Marcus's life had completely changed. He was both giving training at the police department and working as a community leader in the neighborhood. One day, he was patrolling with his old partner, Williams. Young police officer Davis was also with them. "Mr. Marcus," said Davis, "we now study your story as a lesson at the academy." "In which class?" "Community Policing and Fighting Prejudice class." Marcus smiled. "Good. Maybe the new generation will be better." At that moment, a call came over the radio. "Unit 512, domestic disturbance. 1247 Elm Street." "This is our old neighborhood," Williams said. "Come on, let's go," Marcus said. When they arrived at the scene, a young black man named Jamal was waiting on the street. He had argued with his wife, Karen. Davis approached Jamal, but Marcus stopped him. "Davis, stop. First, understand the situation." Marcus approached Jamal. "Hello, brother, I'm Marcus. What's the problem?" Jamal saw the tension. "Police. I didn't do anything. I know. I just want to help. Tell me what happened." Jamal relaxed. Marcus's approach was different. "I argued with my wife about money. Our voices were raised, neighbors complained. I see. Is there violence?" "Never. Just argument." Marcus nodded. "Okay. Davis, you come here too." Davis approached. Marcus whispered to him, "This man isn't a criminal. Just stressed. Approach kindly." Davis nodded and spoke kindly with Jamal. The situation calmed down. After the incident was resolved, Davis turned to Marcus. "Mr. Marcus, if you weren't here, I would have approached much more harshly." "Davis, the secret of this job is empathy. Try to understand people, not judge them. But some people are really dangerous." "Right. But you need to learn to distinguish dangerous from harmless. This is a matter of experience." That evening, returning home, Marcus passed in front of Giovanni's. He looked inside through the window. Amy was serving tables. Jake was talking and smiling with a customer at the register. Marcus went inside. Amy ran as soon as she saw him. "Mr. Marcus, welcome." "Hello, Amy? You look good. I've learned a lot since that day. How I should talk to each customer." Jake also came. "Mr. Marcus, your table is ready. Our best place." "Thank you, Jake. But I'm just a normal customer." "But you're special to us." Marcus sat down. He ordered his meal. He looked around. The restaurant was peaceful. People were eating with pleasure. Paul came to his table. "Marcus, how's it going?" "Good." "Paul, how are you?" "Great. After these trainings, our customer satisfaction has increased a lot. Our staff is happier, customers are more comfortable." "I'm glad." "Marcus, I want to say one more thing. The injustice we did to you that night was one of the biggest lessons of my life. Paul, don't let it stay in the past. What's important is now." After finishing his meal, Marcus walked home. Throughout the way, people he encountered smiled and greeted him. He was no longer a stranger. He was part of the community. As he reached home and opened the door, his phone rang. It was a number he didn't recognize. "Hello, Mr. Marcus. I'm calling from Jacksonville. My name is Robert Hayes. I'm also a retired police officer." "Hello, Robert. I watched your story. I experienced similar things too. I want to meet with you." "Sure, Robert. Come, let's talk." This phone call showed Marcus that his story hadn't stayed just in Detroit. Throughout America, retired police officers, active police officers, civilian citizens had been affected by this story. The next week, Robert came. Two retired police officers talked for hours. They shared similar experiences. "Marcus," said Robert, "we should create a platform, a place where retired police officers can share their experiences." "Like what?" "A nonprofit organization. We could call it Bridges." To build bridges. Marcus liked the idea. "This is a very good idea, Robert." Thus, Bridges Foundation was born. Marcus and Robert brought together retired police officers from across the country. Their goal was to improve police-community relations. Within a few months, dozens of retired police officers joined. Each had their story, their experience. Marcus's story was no longer just a restaurant incident. It had become a symbol of social change. A year later, Marcus was celebrating the anniversary at Giovanni's. The restaurant was completely full. His friends, neighbors, former colleagues, everyone had come. Paul gave a speech. "A year ago, something very bad happened here. But that bad thing caused very beautiful things, Mr. Marcus taught us that mistakes are learning opportunities." Amy also spoke. "Mr. Marcus changed my life. Now I know how to approach people." Marcus stood up. "Friends, this celebration isn't for me, it's for all of us. Because we all changed, we all learned. That night I came here just to eat. But I found much more. I found my community." Marcus sat down amid applause. His heart was full. That night, returning home, Marcus thought about his 30-year career. Perhaps his greatest achievement had happened on a night when he wasn't wearing a uniform. And that night, Marcus Thompson once again proved that you can be a police officer even without wearing a uniform. Because real policing wasn't just catching criminals. It was also building bridges between people.